Modern businesses run on a constant stream of unobtrusive data. Click streams and checkout logs perfectly capture exactly what consumers are doing at any given second. But those passive logs hit a hard limit when researchers need to understand the motivation behind those actions. Scanner data records a drop in sales. It offers zero insight into the cause. Because business is intrinsically a social phenomenon, extracting the why requires researchers to use human beings as their primary data sensors. The business interview is a strictly guided, purposeful method of primary data collection designed to isolate specific information. Extracting high-fidelity, unbiased data from a volatile human source requires researchers to construct the interview as a rigorously engineered architecture. Looking at the macro structure of research design, data collection sits at a critical juncture. Within this node, researchers have to select their primary human vectors. They must choose between observation, administering questionnaires, or conducting interviews. We are going to track the chronological life cycle of an inquiry, moving step by step from investigating vague organizational symptoms to testing precise, measurable variables. A study is only as strong as its evidence. The researcher's chosen data collection method dictates the absolute upper limit of the study's overall value. The process begins with ambiguity. A manager senses operational friction, a drop in efficiency, a rise in turnover, but cannot pinpoint the exact variables causing the issue. This scenario calls for the unstructured interview. The goal here is purely diagnostic. Researchers use it to bring preliminary issues to the surface, rather than trying to test predefined hypotheses. To extract accurate responses, the questions must be precisely calibrated to the respondent's level within the organizational hierarchy. Top and middle-level managers receive broad, strategic questions about their perception of the overall problem. Meanwhile, shop floor employees are asked specific, open-ended questions about their immediate job environment and daily workplace satisfaction. Through this unstructured exploration, researchers map the landscape. They transform an unquantifiable organizational symptom into a concrete set of isolatable, investigatable variables. During early stages, researchers pace their inquiry using a cognitive mechanism, the funneling technique. The interviewer actively listens to initial broad responses, processing answers in real time to formulate progressively narrower, highly focused follow-up questions. The output of this process is clarity. By filtering the conversation, the funneling technique translates human ambiguity into structural focus, setting the stage for strict measurement. Once those variables are identified, researchers switch to structured interviews. This format is deployed only when the exact information needed is known from the outset. A structured protocol follows a rigid architectural progression. An introduction establishing confidentiality moves into non-threatening warm-up questions, and finally, the main targeted queries. Every single respondent must be asked the same questions in the exact same manner. To maintain this standardization, when a subject gives an incomplete answer, interviewers rely on a strict set of predefined probing tactics, ranging from strategic silence to repeating the subject's exact phrasing. Researchers can even inject visual aids, like a product mock-up or packaging design, directly into this structured environment to capture standardized reactions across the entire sample size. This structural standardization guarantees consistency. It ensures the resulting data can be accurately tabulated and compared across an entire population. Even with a structured protocol, the data collection process is vulnerable to bias. Any error or inaccuracy that distorts the data signal between the human subject and the researcher. The first threat vector is interviewer bias. This occurs when the researcher fails to build proper trust, uses an inappropriate tone, or accidentally encourages certain answers through unintentional facial expressions. The second vector is interviewee bias. This triggers when subjects provide socially acceptable answers rather than truthful ones, often out of apprehension regarding management or a lack of understanding. The third vector is situational bias. This is created by external factors, like physical discomfort at the workplace during the interview, or a skewed sample resulting from individuals refusing to participate. Researchers deploy mechanical defenses against these threats. They establish professional credibility upfront to build trust, construct strictly unbiased phrasing, and take immediate field notes to prevent memory distortion. Ultimately, an interview protocol's overall validity is completely dependent on its defensive capability against these three core threat vectors. This dynamic radar chart illustrates the delivery matrix. Once the protocol is designed and defended, the researcher must mathematically optimize the physical medium of delivery based on their operational constraints. Look at face-to-face interviews. They allow researchers to read subtle nonverbal cues and clarify complex doubts on the fly, maximizing data richness. However, they carry massive resource burdens, severely limiting geographic reach and cost efficiency. Compare that to telephone interviews. They offer high-speed data collection and respondent anonymity across vast geographic areas. The cost drops, but a new risk appears. The subject can unilaterally terminate the interview at any moment by simply hanging up. Method selection requires an algorithmic trade-off. Researchers balance the need for deep data fidelity against the strict reality of their budget. To systematically mitigate human error, organizations frequently deploy computer-assisted interviewing, like CADDI and CAPI. These software systems strictly enforce question sequencing. They automatically flag out-of-range answers and execute real-time tabulation, removing mechanical interviewer bias directly at the source. Beyond individual surveys, researchers also use group-based data collection. Focus groups and expert panels serve as specialized, highly unstructured variants of the interview process, but there is a strict rule regarding their application. Focus group data is exclusively for exploratory idea generation and serendipitous discovery. Because the members are not scientifically selected, their opinions cannot be used as a representative sample of the larger population. Moving from a vague organizational problem through the funneling technique and into a rigid structured protocol requires systematic discipline. A properly engineered interview is a highly calibrated tool. It stands as the optimal instrument for translating messy organizational reality into actionable, precise business intelligence.